Holy smokes. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peeker on the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football's rebel outpost, the true home for the college football sickos. With a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Holy smokes. This is PATC Aftermath Week 11, but buckle up, brace for impact. Ross Dellenger. Ross Dellenger of Yahoo Sports reports this morning. Sources. Big Ten execs pressing to make the $2.4 billion investment deal without Michigan and USC if needed. We are going to be going through the whole article. I will provide a link to the article in the description box below the video after the live show is over. We're going to get to this. It is the big breaking news, and we're going to have to go back a little bit in time here. First of all, in this article, and we're going to go through the article, Ross Dellenger has reported that it is being socialized, that there is a date out there of November 21st, that there could be maybe a possible vote by the other 16 presidents and or chancellors. The Big Ten has come out with a comment saying basically, we're still looking, we're talking to Tony Petitti, saying we're talking to everybody to try to modernize that conference, blah, blah, blah. We've read those comments before. The Big Ten has basically not denied nor confirmed the report. Ross Dellenger has also reported, since this article that we are going to go through, that there are 5 Big Ten schools that are now, because of this information, their board of regents are going to have meetings and all this stuff. Let me go back a little bit more. Last week, I reported here at Peek Around the Corner. I did not advertise it. I did not do a clickbait. I did not grifting, whatever that's called. Basically, I threw it in information into a live show, which I did not advertise this. But again, if you watch Peek Around the Corner, like you should be, once in a while we give you a peek around the corner that comes out of nowhere. Last week, we were able to report to you not a whole lot of information. It was not clear. It was not clear to me, but I felt that I had to put it out there. That we were told by somebody, and I couldn't even categorize the person. I couldn't say it was a money perch administrator, someone behind the curtain, chatter behind the curtain. But I did report to you all that somebody said tomorrow, and I think it was like last Tuesday or Wednesday, you might want to, you're going to have to, I don't have the notes anymore, but basically, and the text is on my phone, but basically it said, conference financial deal, clear your desk tomorrow, and it could be coming out in the morning or something like, and I'm getting the words wrong, but something to that effect. Well, it did not happen. And I did not know what conference deal this was about. But it was going to be a major news story because this person told me, clear your desk of everything else. It did not happen. And I've been asked by PATC members and Rick, who's a great caller of the show, basically get to the bottom of it. Well, we got to the bottom of it. I want to talk about that before we get into the actual story. This is the clear your desk moment that we were told last week. By the way, there's so much. There is some cloak and dagger stuff going on. So this is what happened, or what I can say what happened. There are people who found out about, and again, I did not know it at the time. Remember, this information was embargoed. All I was told was to clear my desk because a major Power 4 conference financial deal was going to get talked about, released, published, whatever. And at the time, and it came from somebody who, and I can't really describe the person other than, and I said it at the time, there really is no person that has more credibility than the person who talked with me. So something was up, but the person was unable to tell me anything more, but as a courtesy, because I've been able to harvest the field over and over again. I've got IOUs, I owe IOUs, I've got, how the business is done. As a courtesy, I was warned, clear your desk. Now I've been able to talk with this person this morning. One of the reasons why I did not know what time I was going to come on live this morning, and I apologize for that. Basically, this is how it went down. Information was learned that the Big Ten, that the 16 schools were going to proceed to try to get this UC investment capital deal done. The only reason why I was told last week, and I reported to you that something is happening, and I didn't know what it was, as a courtesy, but no details were given to me. The people who were able to get this information and relay it to me are people who are actually pro UC investment deal. Like they want this deal to happen. They are a believer of this deal to happen. I have made it known that I am not a believer or a non-believer of this deal. And I've told this person that, and I've told all of you, I have no idea where I stand on this issue. It depends on the Big Ten enterprises, to be honest. It can't be just about the money. And I don't know enough about the Big Ten enterprises. That's just my opinion. But the people who were able to get this information, they did not want it leaked, but they anticipated that it would be leaked. Do you understand what I'm saying? They believed it was going to be leaked last week. They believed that this was going to be leaked last week, in the middle of last week, if I remember correctly. Somebody can, I know some people take notes of the show. One day blurs into the other for me. But anyways, it was believed that it was going to be leaked last week. And for whatever reason, it wasn't leaked until this morning. And allegedly, so I don't get in trouble with Yahoo Sports or Ross Dellenger, who I've never spoken to, allegedly, college football's peek around the corner, allegedly, this was leaked by those who do not want the deal to get done. So they strategically did it this morning. And Ross Dellenger allegedly The information was not embargoed to him, and he let it release, and now here we are today. Breaking news, breaking news. The Big Ten looks to proceed with or without you, with or without Michigan and USC. We are going to go through the big article. We are going to talk about the ramifications, the implications, and everything about it. And we have received more information this morning. More information this morning on it. Before we do that, though, unfortunately, this is the PATC Aftermath show of Week 11. We're not going to talk much about Week 11 on this live show. We're going to have to reconvene tomorrow, Monday, and we'll do our traditional Aftermath show on Sundays. So tomorrow is going to be our show that we usually have. Today, I do apologize. Let me get this out of the way. So I got to get to something else before we get into Ross Dellenger's article. I went 4-7. Okay, you all went 6-5. My record against the spread is 66-66. You all are 64-68. So congratulations on defeating Greg the Cooler once again in Week 11. I'm only going to play this song for about 5 seconds because we do not have time. We do not have time. Whoops, that's the wrong song. Holy smokes. No, I'm not Greg the Gold. I'm not even close to being Greg the Gold.
I know you told your friend
not
you're
close.
not okay. And tell me
the re-elected mayor of Loserville City, your host, the fat guy from Minnesota, Greg the Cool.
But I've known you too long. It hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden.
Alright, enough of that. 4 weeks in a row I have been Greg the Cooler. We're gonna stuff that in the locker, and we're not gonna talk about it for a whole week. How about them apples? Okay. Another thing, before we get to the Ross Dellenger article. And I see some super chats coming on in. I'm very, very, very humbled that you all would join us on a Sunday morning emergency live show, November 9th. Thank you for the super chats. I'll get to them as quick as I possibly can. But there is one more thing I want to talk about. Daniel Gygax, I'm 65-45. If I was 65-45, Daniel Gygax, you would not hear the end of it. I would not be able to be so humbled. I would be impossible to deal with. But as by our Creator's grand design, I'm not able to be the narcissistic person that I truly am, because I am a loser once again 4 years in a row. Daniel Gygax is 64-45. Wow. Let me before we get to this article, breaking news. Last week I also did a live show. We did not just talk about this financial deal in which we were going to have to clear the table and everything like that. We also had a live show in which we said in the Big Ten, there's only a faction of one. The Ohio State Buckeyes. We did a live show on that. We talked about it. Now, a lot of people disagreed with me. A lot of people agreed with me. And that is fantastic. This show would be so boring if we agreed with each other. A lot of people disagreed, and 99% of the people were respectful. There are a few people out there who, once again, couldn't just simply disagree with PATC. They had to take, because I'm getting these, people like to send me stuff that they don't send me posts in which people agree or disagree with me. They send me posts in which people take character shots at me. Once again, because people who have a personality of a painted pine cone can't grasp the idea that they may just disagree with me. That they have to go out there and say, well, you know, he's got to fill up his daily live show, da. We do not report things just to fill up a live show. When I have the information, our track record speaks for itself. We get it out to you as fast as we possibly can. We speculate, we make predictions, and then there are reports. The report on the Ohio State Buckeyes being the only true faction right now in the Big Ten was a 100% lock it in report. You can disagree. But again, can't you just simply disagree? Are you so wound up so tight that you can't possibly just disagree with anybody? There are people out there, ladies and gentlemen, if they disagree with you, they can't just disagree with you. There has to be something broken about you that you don't have the same information or the same opinion as they do. Once again, we at Peek Around the Corner nailed it. And it was obvious. It was told to us by 3 different people over the last 4 weeks. The Buckeyes are a faction of one. And in this Ross Dellenger article of this morning, it should be quite apparent to everybody that is true. Because it is the Ohio State Buckeyes that are driving this. They want the deal to get done. They want the grant of rights to go to 2046. They want the $190 million. They want the 5.5% stake in the conference. And the Ohio State Buckeyes want the Big Ten enterprises fueled by this agreement, by this USC investment deal. They believe it will modernize the conference. The Buckeyes are driving this. So either way, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this. We're going to do a quick roll call. We're going to go through the super chats. Super chats always come first. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to put it out there right now. If this thing happens without USC and Michigan on board, if this thing happens without USC and Michigan on board, we got a fracture in the Big Ten. Sorry, Big Ten sycophants. We got a fracture in the Big Ten. I'm not saying this to gaslight or whatever people describe this channel. If this deal gets done without Michigan and USC, we've got a fracture in the Big Ten. if this deal doesn't get done at all, if this deal dies because now we've got other schools with the Board of Regents coming together and having these meetings, if this deal doesn't get done, like none of the 18 schools sign on it, we still have a major fracture in the Big Ten. Why? Why? Oh, Greg. If it doesn't get done, no harm, no foul. As my father would say, baloney. Because you've got out in the open, in public, Michigan and USC saying, no, we don't think we should do this deal. The Board of Regents at Michigan, the Board of Trustees at USC, without permanent presidents, no, we should not do this deal. They've done that in public. And now we learn that the other 16 presidents or chancellors, with the Buckeyes driving this, want to do this done, want to get this deal done anyways, and are willing to give Michigan and USC a 3 to 6 month grace period. If this deal doesn't get done, there's a major fracture in the Big Ten. If this deal does get done without Michigan and USC, there's a major fracture in the Big Ten. And if this deal gets done and Michigan and USC decide to sign off on it in 3 to 6 months, how does that leave the Big Ten? Maybe not fractured, but bruised. Maybe not broken, but bruised. And maybe this whole thing is going to work out. Maybe the Big Ten Enterprises, the modernized Big Ten Conference, is going to work wonders. And every other conference is going to follow up with their own modernizing their own conference. Maybe it all works out. But 2 of the 3 outcomes leads to a Big Ten that is fractured. In my strongly held opinion, I'm going to say this again. For those in the back row who cannot seem to get out of their own way, this is not the same Big Ten it was 6 months ago. It ain't the same Big Ten it has been for the last 20 years. Today, and it ain't going to be forever, but today, the Big Ten is a faction of one. There is only one school that has the votes to do anything, and that it is the Ohio State University. The Michigan-Wisconsin faction, it's over. As of right now, Wisconsin wants this deal. Now, some of the Board of Regents at Wisconsin ain't going to want this deal. Some people at Minnesota ain't going to want this deal. People at Northwestern ain't going to want this deal. But the presidents do want the deal to get done. There is only one faction in the Big Ten. And if this deal does get done, and we have certain percentage stakes for each school, and we have an unequal revenue sharing, it very well could open up more conference expansion. And without Michigan and USC having a stake, they're going to have a vote, but they're not going to have a faction. Oregon wants this. Washington wants this. They believe in it. They believe in the Big Ten Enterprises. I don't know if I do or not. Let's go to your super chats. Let's go to the roll call. And then finally, let's go to Ross Dellenger's article. We've got super chats. Thank you guys so very much. We are going to get to the article here in a moment. Super chat, Ryan Willie. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Evil Badgers on Wisconsin. Wisconsin is the best UW. The Badgers beat the Washington Huskies 13-10. I promise you, Ryan Willie, we are going to go over that game and everything else tomorrow, Monday. Our Monday live show is going to replace our Sunday Today live show, Aftermath Week 11. Thank you for the $5 holler. Thank you for starting us off, Ryan Willie. Congratulations on the victory. Absolutely. 13-10. The Hawkeyes lose. Very tough game. Close game. Super chat, Jacoba Cat, Mr. Hawkeye. Hawkeyes live by the safety, fall by the safety. The safety was the difference. The safety was the difference, 18-16. I said it on my X account. I would not want to play Iowa in the bowl game. Iowa's all. My question about Iowa is who's going to be their quarterback next year? If they get a decent quarterback, like they had this year, the Iowa Hawkeyes are going to be a lot of trouble next year. The Iowa Hawkeyes are going to have a very good football team next year. Just warning everybody. If they get a quarterback, they are going to have a very good football team. That offensive line is absolutely legit. Congratulations to the Oregon Ducks. You beat a very good Iowa team at a place that is very difficult to win. Iowa City, Kinnick Stadium in November. Oregon, you won a big, massive Big Ten road victory. Congratulations to the Iowa Hawkeyes, to the Oregon Ducks. John Till, what are USC Michigan going to do? Go to the ACC? Thank you for the $2 holler, John Till. I don't think, neither of them are going anywhere. Unless they want to take the Big Ten to court, which maybe they will. I don't know. They are signed under a grant of rights to go to 2036. Maybe they can go to court like Florida State and Clemson did. I don't think they're looking to go anywhere else. I just happen to think there are two bodies, the USC trustees and the Michigan Board of Regents, that do not want to do this deal. But again, we're not going to sit here and pretend that there's not a Big Ten fracture in the conference. As of right now, of course there is. Of course, a $2.4 billion deal where the major programs are going to get a bigger stake in the conference, more money on their media deal, and there's going to be an ACC type of structure in which you eat of more of what you kill. In other words, you can pop up to a higher tier of stake percentage in the conference. You can pop up to a higher tier of unequal revenue share if you do better in basketball and in football. And supposedly as a university, you can put money in to get a higher stake of the conference. There's lots of different ways to change your standing in the conference. But my goodness, for the 16 other universities to come back at this, to drive this, for the Buckeyes to drive this, they want a vote, they want to get it done, they are believers in this. There is a fracture. There is an absolute fracture. Let's go. Great. Super chat. Indiana Hoosier, Ricky Tungate. IU made me age 5 years yesterday. Unbelievable football game. Tip of the cap to Penn State. Tip of the cap to Indiana. What a beautiful football game. Penn State played their hearts out. The Nittany Lions, who've had a very disappointing season, do not have their head coach anymore, don't have their starting quarterback. They gave everything yesterday. Singleton and Katron Allen and Grunkmeyer, everybody gave everything they had. And Indiana hit adversity, met adversity, and defeated adversity. Fernando Mendoza, that last drive under continuous pressure by the Nittany Lions. Becker, all those great catches. And then Omar Cooper at the end, tipping those feet down in the end zone. What an unbelievable football game. Indiana Hoosiers, man, they are a serious threat. Thank you for the $5 holler. Ricky Tungate, thank you so much. And there is another big, threat out there. And that's the Texas Tech Red Raiders. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. The Red Raiders, that defense, the Ohio State Buckeyes defense, the Texas Tech Red Raiders defense, if they lock up in a playoff game, buckle up, baby. Buckle up. The Red Raiders are a threat as well as Indiana. Congratulations to the Red Raiders beating BYU 29-7. Congratulations to BYU Cougars for having another very good year. You still have a shot at the playoffs. But the Red Raiders right now rule the Big 12. Jacob Cat, Big 10 kiddos hate it when mom and dad fight. Thank you for the $2 holler. John Teal, thank you. Appreciate it. Jacob Cat, the Ohio State is mom because she took the kids. Michigan is dad, and USC live in a nanny with Hollywood looks. Mom was against the hire. Dad said it would be okay. Holy smokes, Jacoba Cat. Thank you for the $5 holler. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Okay, yeah, I don't think USC is getting a full share, but we'll get into it. Okay, here we go, guys. The Ross Dellenger article. Big Ten execs pressing to make $2.4 billion investment deal without Michigan and USC if needed. Big Ten executives are socializing a plan with member schools to move forward with their capital investment proposal even without Michigan and USC. The league has signaled to schools that it may hold a vote in 2 weeks to potentially adopt a 20-year, $2.4 billion deal with the California Pension Fund and extend the conference grant of rights an additional 10 years in what would be an unprecedented decision from a major conference, striking a membership extension without all of its current schools. The move for a vote, supported and encouraged by many university administrators at the 16 Big Ten schools, threatens to drive what I would call a fracture. Schism is the word that Ross Dellenger is using within the league, between those supportive universities and the Wolverines and the Trojans who are not in support of the measure. Several university administrators, board members, and industry executives spoke to Yahoo Sports under condition of anonymity about the Big Ten's latest proposal in partnering with an investment fund of the University of California pension system called UC Investment. Now, this is what triggered everything. Okay. This is what PATC believes that triggered the latest events. I'm going to put it that way. In messages sent to Michigan and USC, the Big Ten has signaled that it is moving forward with the deal, even delivering to each program a proposed deadline for their decision. If they don't agree to the deal, the schools may lose the additional capital as part of the landmark proposal and risk their future within the conference beyond 2036. The current end of the existing grant of rights agreement. League officials are socializing a specific date, November 21st, for a vote on the capital investment proposal. Now, this is the Big Ten. Most, if not all, the other 16 schools basically telling Michigan and USC, if you do not agree with the deal, if you do not vote yes, not only may you lose the additional capital, no question they will. They're not going to get paid for it if they're not part of the deal. You risk your future within the conference beyond 2036. Michigan and USC will risk their future within the conference beyond 2036. Michigan and this is not, I'll just go ahead and use Minnesota because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend any other Big Ten fan bases out there, so I'll just offend my Gophers. This isn't saying in Minnesota, oh, Minnesota, we're going to go forward. You might risk your future within the conference beyond 2036 if you don't sign this deal. You're talking USC. You're talking Michigan. 2 of the 5 biggest brands in the Big Ten. This is how much this gives you an indication, right or wrong, correct or incorrect, that Big Ten schools believe in the Big Ten enterprises, which would be fueled in part by this UC investment deal. That's how much they believe in this. Administrators and board members at both Michigan and USC were informed earlier this week. That was earlier last week. Okay? Now remember, I was told about this to clear my desk last week about a major investment deal in one of the a big investment, a big financial deal of a conference within the Power Four. I was not given any more information. And that was last week. So this was all starting to leak last week, and I got a bit of it. Administrators and board members at both Michigan and USC were informed earlier this week that if a 16-school agreement is reached, the 2 programs would be granted a grace period, 3 to 6 months, to agree to join the deal if they wish to reap the full financial benefits. That period is only a proposal for now. So possibly Michigan and USC they would be given a grace period to think about it if the other schools sign off on the deal. Unbelievable. Unbelievable drama in the Big Ten. The money is significant, though it is unclear how the deal's value is impacted by the potential absence of the 2 of its biggest brands. USC Investment is proposing to buy 10% stake $2.4 billion, an average of $135 million to each school. But it requires an extension of the grant of rights, the establishment of a for-profit business, Big Ten enterprises, and the creation of a future uneven distribution of league revenues. So the bigger programs, right, the bigger brands, they want more of the money. They want a bigger stake of the conference. They want the Big Ten enterprises. They want the uneven distribution of league revenues. And the rest of the Big Ten schools, well, they want the cash infusion and they want security of the grant of rights going all the way to 2046. Everybody's getting something. Although I do not know if this deal is a good one, to be honest, because I do not know enough about the Big Ten enterprises. In a statement to Yahoo Sports, a Big Ten spokesperson says no such vote is scheduled, and the league continues to work closely with all the member universities to explore a partnership to strengthen and modernize our conference. The Big Ten will provide its members adequate time to consider this opportunity with a not-for-profit financial partner. While there is wide support for the deal across the other 16 Big Ten schools, board members and even some university administrators at USC and Michigan are pushing back against the agreement for a variety of reasons. The University of Michigan trustees call it a payday loan. USC have kept their feelings more private. Okay? USC has kept their feelings more private. They hold reservations about the agreement because it would distribute more revenue to league members Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Okay. I'm going to skip some of this because I want to get to your phone calls. A lot of this is a rehashing. At least one Ohio State board member is expected to join the call Monday, a notable inclusion as the Buckeyes hold an important role in any 16-school agreement. Ohio State owns a substantial influence over the potential agreement, as the Buckeyes would be extending the grant of rights from 36 to 46 without its chief rival, Michigan. The Big Ten grant of rights extension would not extend its media rights package with Florida, with Fox, which is a big difference than the ACC agreement. Okay? We've talked about that before. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There is the massive article, Ross Dellenger. Breaking news. My goodness. I'm getting a lot of... I am getting a lot of comments all over the place. Okay. Let's get to your phone calls. I really wanted to get to your phone calls. Cal Bear's translation, USC buyer's remorse is real. Do they have remorse? Does USC have remorse? USC. Remember what USC got out of this Big Ten. They're getting paid double what they would have been getting paid in the Pac-12. They are a fully invested university in the Big Ten. They get full payouts from the Big Ten network, which, by the way, Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State did not receive their first 5 or 6 years of the Big Ten network. That's a pretty damn good deal, in my opinion. Under what Ross Dellenger has reported, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State would receive $190 million in cash infusion. Oregon and USC would both receive $140 million, and everybody else would get less. But everybody else would get above at least $100 or more million dollars. Again, I'm going to say this. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State would all get $190 million. Oregon and USC would get $140 million. Everybody else would get less than $140 million. Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State would each get 5.5% stake of Big Ten enterprises. Oregon and USC would receive 5% of the Big Ten enterprises. And everybody else would go between, sounds like, 4.5 to 4.9% stake in Big Ten enterprises. Is that truly enough for the USC? Is that the gap? $50 million in cash infusion and 0.5% stake in the conference difference than Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Is what's stopping the USC Trojans from signing off on this deal? And USC could still move up to the upper tier. Absolutely. And they probably will. USC could join the Big 12. Again, I'm not sure. So USC is going to join the Big 12 and make half as much as they do now because they would rather do that than make way more. Remember, in this deal, and I'm not saying that people should be for this deal because I think they should only. I don't know enough about the Big Ten enterprises to have an opinion. I honestly do not know. If it's just about the cash, I don't know. But USC is going to make more money on this deal than projected when they signed to become a Big Ten member. Think about that. When USC signed the deal, they knew how much money they were going to make for the next 5 years, projected, with Big Ten Tier 1, Big Ten network money, and Big Ten conference payouts. USC knew exactly what they were, basically, not quite, but projected. Under this deal, USC's revenue would go up. USC has been a conference member for how long? And they're going to own 5% of the stake of the conference. My University of Minnesota has been a member of this conference since 1896. And they're going to get less stake than USC. And USC is the one that's not in favor of this. Because why? Because they're not quite going to make the same as Michigan and Ohio State, who've been doing this for 8 decades. They've been the marquee on the theater. They are on the marquee. Okay, let's open up the phone lines. Let's open up the phone lines again. Any super chats I will put up as quick as possible. But I do want to get to your phone calls here because I got to believe that you guys have a strong opinion either way. USC, we should not do it. Michigan, we should not do it. Michigan, we should do it. Whatever your opinion is, it is welcome here at Peek Around the Corner.
Call from Flint Rock Inspection Service.
I think we got Flint Dog. Mr. Michigan Wolverine is on the line. The floor is yours, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm all for the deal. I'm all for it. It's not going to change. I don't, Michigan, they're going to fall in line, in my opinion. And they're not going to go to the SEC or go independent or do any other crazy things like that, sir. I believe they're going to fall in line. They just don't have a president. They don't have a voice. They're letting the politicians run the university. So, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah. So if Michigan is given a 3 to 6 month grace period, you think they'll eventually fall in line?
They will.
Okay.
Sir, they don't want to be. Okay, think of the way this public display is happening. It makes it appear that Ohio State is running things and Michigan don't have a voice. You think that is for their, I guess, what's the word? For their, ego, they're going to let that really slide? I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. Michigan is a prideful university, and they're not going to, man, we're second fiddle to Ohio State, and if we allow them to go ahead and go, push this through, it appears that we don't have a say, and we're going to fall in line, and they're above us, and they're not going to let it happen. But they just, I'm sorry, sir. I mean, I just believe that they're going to fall in line. And one other thing.
Yeah.
I think I said this before, that Big Ten Enterprises is going to be just like the MLB Enterprises, which Tony Petitti started. And if you Google it, under the Enterprises, they put all of their technology and all their advertisements and all their league deals in one spot. Just the same thing as Mr. Petitti is trying to do.
Yeah.
That's the enterprise. The Big Ten is a professional organization. It's not collegiate anymore. They have to pay these professional athletes. They have to. It's not a college league anymore or a college conference. They're a professional league. And that's all I have to say, sir. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. I appreciate the phone call, my man. Beautiful call. Beautiful call. And I'm going to extend on what Flint Dog just said here.
Call from
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, can you hold on for just one moment, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott Snyder, someone that I follows, education and unemployment lawyer. He is very skeptical about this deal. He basically let's see here. Let me find what I'm looking for here. He says this, though, if the deal happened, would make the Big Ten less of a conference in the traditional sense and more of a bi-coastal corporate syndicate governed by investors and a commissioner with university presidents functioning as limited partners. Would also invite litigation. That is Scott Snyder's comments on it. Just want to put that up there. Hold on, Ryan Willie, for a second here. And I agree with Rock and Rant. Here is where I disagree with you, and I don't really care what happens, but this is not about the past. This is about the future revenue, so I understand where USC might be coming from. I get it. It is somewhat about the past because the valuation that's coming in on the Big Ten, and it's being valued at $24 billion by U.S. investment, that has a lot to do with what's happened in the past. But when it comes to the individual schools, I get it. And I don't think, and I'm not here to say that Minnesota should get as much as USC. And I think Minnesota is, if this deal happened, would probably I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing Minnesota in the original 6 should get the $190 million. If it's about tenure, it should not be about tenure. It should not be about tenure. But again, $50 million difference between USC and the top and Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. That $50 million, if you are a true believer in the Big Ten enterprises, if you are, that $50 million should not be why you say no to the deal. I mean, it's got to be the reason why, besides the extension of the grant of rights, it's got to be a lot of reasons why a lot of these Big Ten university presidents, it's why they are a believer in this deal. They believe this is going to modernize the conference. So it can't just, I'm hoping that Michigan and USC are both right now saying no because they think this Big Ten enterprises is a big old shell game, which it could be, or it won't work, or this is more like a payday loan, and none of this brings more value to the conference in its schools. I'm hoping that's their argument. I'm hoping it's not because USC is not making the exact same amount of money as Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. When USC is going to be making so much more money than 99% of the other Power 4 institutions out there, and you just joined the bloody conference 2 years ago. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm saying this from too much of a Big Ten point of view, of a Gopher point of view. Maybe that's where I'm off my rocker. But it can't be about $50 million cash infusion difference when you're going to be making more than what your projection was when you signed on, when you're going to be making more than any other Big 12, any other ACC, any other back, way more than you thought you were going to be making more than them. It can't be about that. It can't be about that. I'm hoping it's not about that, because if it is about that, USC and the fat guy from Minnesota, we're going to have a conversation. Go ahead, Ryan Willie. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call. I basically think it's a game of chicken between Michigan, USC, and the Big Ten. And I think they're waiting to see who will blink first.
What was that, sir?
I think they're waiting to see who will blink first.
Yeah, well,
Michigan, USC, or the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I think you're correct, and I don't think the Big Ten's going to blink. I think they want to do the deal, so fracture city, Bob. Go ahead.
Well, I've never liked Michigan. I will say that, and I've tolerated Minnesota, but I've never liked Michigan. Certainly don't like USC coming into the Big Ten, trying to rule the roost when they're just barely new members. But this is leading into what the Big 12 fans and the SEC fans and the ACC fans want. They want the Big Ten to break up and be destroyed, just like the Pac-12 was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's why I get all these comments about, well, USC can come to the Big 12, no problem. I'm like, yeah, you just want to destroy the Big Ten. That's all you want. All right, well, that's all I got for you.
Congratulations on your victory, Ryan Willie.
Thank you.
Great job, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Ryan Willie, Fantastic call. Let me clear something up here. Clear something up. Oh, Rick, I missed you. Rick, call back again, sir. Call back. Let me get to these comments here. Rock and Ranch is because you're going to make more than what was projected. Everybody else is about to get more than they expected. No, some of us are going to be making a little less on the unequal revenue media deal. But on the cash infusion, they're going to make up for it. USC is going to make more. I don't know. I get it. I get it, Rock and Rant. I get it. But look, if USC is this incredible, valuable brand, correct? Correct?
Call from.
Correct.
Rick, can you hold on for a moment?
Oh, you bet.
They're this incredible, valuable brand. I'm not debating that. But you came to the Big Ten because you were going to make us half as much in the Pac-12, and you were going to get horrific exposure. You come over here into this new conference. Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan have been doing this for decades. I mean, at some point, pride comes before the fall. That's how I'm going to answer that. Pride comes before the fall. A lot of Big Ten universities who've been making decisions on this conference for decades, and most of them have been the correct decision, who have built up this $24 billion evaluation, are going to be taking it on the chin a little bit compared to teams that just joined, and USC is not going to sign because of a $50 million difference in cash infusion. I can't. Pride comes before the fall. Go ahead, Rick. The floor is yours.
Well, I think we agree on the fracture having occurred within the Big Ten, regardless of which way it goes.
Oh, there's a well, the only way there's not a fracture, but there's going to be some hard bruises, contusions throughout the body of the Big Ten. The only way that's not a fracture is if this deal gets done and Michigan and USC sign off on it. Other than that, even if that happens, there's going to be some major bruising. But if that doesn't happen, if that deal gets done without those two schools, or if the deal doesn't get done at all, there is a major fracture in the conference.
Well, you're gonna hate the idea that I'm about to propose.
Probably, but go ahead.
because it can cause a huge fracture.
Yeah.
If I were negotiating this deal, and I'll call them the Sweet 16, the 16 teams that are in agreement.
Yeah.
On the 21st of the month, we'd hold a vote, and the 16 teams would vote for approval of it. And then the 17th vote would go to Michigan, who could either accept it or reject it. And if Michigan rejected it, I would tell USC, you get Michigan's share if you approve it. So now we've got 17 out of 18.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know.
Because 17 out of 18 is better than 16 out of 17.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it
and
is.
If you want to come back in Michigan in the next 3 to 6 months, you get USC share. The lesser.
Yeah.
Spin on that.
All right, man. So Rick, so that's what this was all about last week.
Yeah, good follow-up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I did
Because,
not. This did not happen because of my follow-up. This was just, I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but this was anticipated a leak last week when USC and Michigan were told that they're looking to proceed forward without them. So that's what that report was all about last week, which I did not know the details of.
right. No, I understand.
Yeah.
But your reliable source has kept its credibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for taking the call.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call. Great call. Jose, fight on, USC Trojan. Explain why Penn State and Notre Dame get tier 1 and day, please, but not USC. Okay, Jose, this is my explanation.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, yo, this is good. Rock and Rant, thanks for calling, sir. This is my explanation on Jose's question. Why Penn State and Notre Dame get tier 1 and day 1, please, but not USC? Well, number one, Penn State has been here for 35 years, give or take a month or two. I don't know. Number two, when USC joined the Big Ten, yeah, it was great for the conference. It was so great that USC got their full investment of the Big Ten. They got full shares of the Big Ten network. But we did not get more in Tier 1 money. We didn't. Remember, those media negotiations already happened. It was USC brought so much value that none of us had to get our slice shrinking. But Notre Dame's addition to the Big Ten Conference, per reports of what is in the Big Ten media contract, everybody would get more money if Notre Dame joined. Now, you've got 18 schools, right, throwing elbows in this negotiations about how much stake they get in the conference, how much stake they would get in the Big Ten enterprises, and how much in cash infusion at the beginning of this. It sounds like, I might be wrong, but it sounds like 17 schools agree with what they're getting. Michigan's discomfort in this is the deal in itself. Obviously, Michigan is not going to complain about getting the highest stake and the highest unequal revenue media share. So there's one school out there that do not like how much they're getting, USC. By the way, that is the school that received full payment of the Big Ten network that no other school enjoyed, not Ohio State, not Michigan. So it's like, you know what, man? You can't. I don't think the Big Ten should bend the knee for USC anymore. I think this is if this deal is worth anything, it's because of the Big Ten enterprises. But the money part, hey, USC, I'll make a deal with USC. If you bring Notre Dame in, you can have a little bit of, you can have even a little bit more of the University of Minnesota stake in the conference, and you can get the highest tier along with Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. USC, if you can get Notre Dame in the conference, the fat guy from Minnesota will sign on the dotted line, you get top tier money. But until then, no deal. Rock and Rant, the floor is yours.
I can't believe you're making me have to come on here and defend USC. I'm not even trying to do that. I'm just passionate about this, but I think you're off potentially, and I'll tell you why. First, the other examples about coming in with existing media deals and existing businesses, it's completely different than the situation, right? Like the media deal existed. Talking about, well, USC was only going to make X in the Pac-12. Well, that's why they were leaving, is because the other schools were dragging them down. Here, when they came over on the existing deal, I want to separate these. at a minimum, they were a wash, and they were generally probably more than a wash because they came over the full share and brought UCLA with them, regardless of the current state of that program, as a full share because of that rivalry and what Los Angeles as a market and California as a state initially added into the Big Ten. So that was kind of like a quid pro quo on both sides, right? You could sit there and say, like, oh, you need more money. Look at the deal based off of the history that we as a Big Ten did, our deal. But the TV partners also were cool with it, right? So that's one. But now it's a totally different situation, in my opinion. And these numbers are wrong. I'm not going to try to do the math. It's Sunday morning, still here on the West Coast. But let's just say that the Big Ten was, just for the sake of the conversation, was worth $1 billion before USC got there. Mm-hmm. And if USC comes in and now the Big Ten is worth $1.1 billion, that's because they brought over $100 million of value in their history before they even married the Big Ten. Yeah. Right? Now you got the California pension fund or all these other private equity guys. They're not coming over and going like, how did you get here? They're going, look at this, check out this house. It's worth $1.1 billion. But if we put more money into it, we think that in next 10 or 20 years, we're going to be able to sell this thing for $1 gazillion in 20 years based off of the baseline that we came into today at $1.1 billion. And so if you're USC, look, I think if they're arguing over $50 million, that's like simple. I get it. But if in theory this thing that's worth $1.1 billion is going to be worth $1 gazillion in 10, 20 years to grant the rights to the life of this new company that you're doing, which has a life that could be forever, right? Mm-hmm. A half point on 20 years of $1 gazillion of potential revenue isn't $50 million. Hundreds of millions of dollars potentially over time. So that's the difference. Like, you're understanding like where the Big Ten got to. The existing TV deal was based off of the history of the Big Ten. Now you have a new entity who just comes in who didn't know anything about you an hour ago, and all they're seeing is the total baseline of what this entity that they believe is valued, and that includes the value that USC and UCLA, Washington and Oregon also brought over to the Big Ten. And now they're starting at day one with what is this combined entity worth now? If we infuse this amount of money, how much money can we make off of this baseline entity going forward? And that's what I'm trying to say in there without defending USC, because I don't know that they're not just being simpletons over $50 million. I don't know the details that trigger how they can make more. Can they make more, but they still only own 5% of the company versus 5.5%? Well, that half percent is worth a ton of money over however long this entity exists.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful argument. Like Jose says, Rock is the best devil's advocate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Couple things and again, this may not be, well, one of my points I think is rational. The other point is not rational, but I'm going to say it anyways because I'm the fat guy from Minnesota. Number one, it is believed that none of these numbers are static. Like, it might not be these numbers in the next 20 years. USC can be a top tier program, depending on what they do on the football field, on the basketball court, and all that stuff. Supposedly, these numbers are not static. That's number one. You can get to the top tier. You also have the ability to spend more on getting a higher stake in the conference. So there's other. So that's my rational part of it. It ain't static. My emotional part of it is this. USC's motivation to get to the Big Ten was so they could be above the revenue stratification line, that they would have the resources and the exposure to play for national championships throughout their sponsored sports. That was USC's motivation. It was not to actually leave their brothers and sisters in the Pac-12. It wasn't because, they wanted to get out of it. I mean, if the one region conference could have worked, they'd still be in the Pac-12. So their motivation was to get out and get the money that they needed to compete. Well,
right.
You are in an 18-member conference. You are in an 18-member conference. It's a large conference, and you don't have the votes. I mean, you haven't been there long enough. I know you're so valuable. I know you wear a beautiful suit. I know your tie is 3 times more expensive than the bow tie coming out of Minnesota. I get it, but you don't have the votes. You just don't have it. So if it's truly about shutting down the deal and again, you can get to the top tier in these revenue payouts 5 years from now, I think that's a poor spot to be standing. If USC would allow me to give them a phone call and advise them, I would say you are in a pretty bad spot right now. I would say stand down unless your argument is that the Big Ten Enterprises is a shell game, which it could be. But anyways, go ahead, Rock and Rant.
And I get that they may not have the votes, right? But they already went to Maui, dude. They already went to this one trip that got them the money for the existing world of football. That when they agreed to join the Big Ten agreed to have them come over.
Yeah,
that was already a thing. That was a done deal. That part, that's chapter 1. That's over. We're writing a new book now that nobody was talking about when we made that deal.
Yeah, true.
This is a new go forward. We didn't know we were going to start this enterprise thing. We didn't know the private equity was going to come. I know that we didn't talk about this 4 years ago, wherever the announcements were made about Texas, Oklahoma, the whole private equity. Like, it might have been out there on somebody's idea, but it wasn't there. And they may not have the votes, but it's their right. You can, with the minute you're eligible to vote, even if you came in and immigrated from another country, other than not running for president, your vote is the same as somebody else. Now, if you choose to vote for the Green Party and you don't win, then you got to suffer the consequences. But they can have possibly, and I don't know, the argument that this thing that you are imposing on me is fundamentally different than the nature of the business arrangement we agreed to go into, right? Because now you're telling me a nonprofit company that we're going to start a for-profit subsidiary, and I'm sure USC has some of those things in their medical, all these other things. Like, I'm just trying to keep it simple. But you are fundamentally changing the nature of a relationship. And you're saying, well, because we once went on a trip to Maui, even though that's over, I want you to go to, in their eyes, Russia, because you think it's like going to Tahiti. Right? And they might not want to do that trip. And then that's the question is, then you go to all right, does the Big Ten do that thing of, hey, we are just not out of this deal, and we are not we have our own limited partnership here, and we're all in business together on this, the Big Ten, the media deal, the games, all that stuff, the academic alliance. But, me and 16 of my other friends started another company because we just didn't think that your attitude was going to be great because you didn't believe in this business. And that's all I'm kind of saying about it.
But in Rock and Rant now, okay, so we went to where did we go the first trip? Maui? Honolulu?
Maui, yeah, Maui.
Okay, all right. So we went to Maui. Now we're trying to go to Honolulu, okay? And USC's like, well, I did not sign up for the trip to Honolulu, correct?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to go to Honolulu. You do not have to invest in the ticket or whatever. Okay? But guess who might want to go to Honolulu? Huh? The Miami Hurricanes, baby. The Miami Hurricanes might want to go to Honolulu.
Right.
How about them apples?
I'm not even arguing against that. Like, they'll have to suffer the consequences on whatever it might be. But the thing is, it's weird because that's a third different thing. Now, they may not have the vote, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that USC would probably like the school that's maybe the most similar to them in the entire country on the East Coast, right? A private school in a big city that does football. There's a lot of similarities there, even though they've never played. And now you get this weird role where that goes back to the first arrangement and deal, right? And they will have sacrificed the power base. Their vote, they still have a vote. It just has less impact because Ohio State has done what they've done to basically save, they saved Gotham in a lot of people's eyes. But you can also understand, like, on the company side of the equation, if you look at the enterprise thing and the who's going to get 4% and the history of Minnesota versus USC versus Ohio State, if you were valuing each of those as individual companies, on what planet with the the Minnesota is great, and I'm just using them as the example.
That's fine. Yep.
They would not be valued as a program 20% less, only 20% less than USC. Right? Because 5%, 4%, I'm just doing that 1% decline. They wouldn't be. So they're still getting, actually, if you're thinking about a new entity, even though those lower schools at the 4% tier that I'm just relying on your reporting and what Ross has said, those lower schools are actually benefiting more disproportionately than they should in terms of like everybody's value on an open market for the similar type of thing. And that is actually probably relying on the history of the conference, even though, again, this new thing is based off of, I just saw this new car. And I don't really know the history. I just want to spend my money, and it's worth that.
And I also think it's about the value of having a healthy conference, right?
Which is an intangible.
Yeah, it's
that has a lot of value, and I don't know what the number is for sure. And I know what it's like to not be in a healthy conference.
Yeah. All righty, Rock and Rant, you are an incredible caller, incredible person, very smart. I appreciate you calling. You bring in the rational argument. I bring in the irrational argument. So
just give me chaos theory. I'm cool with whatever. I'm just talking. So I have no horse in this race.
I don't even know if I'm for the deal, Rock and Rant. That's the thing. I don't know if I'm for the deal. I just don't know about being against the deal because you're getting $50 million less than the Buckeyes. Anyways, thank you, Rock and Rant.
That's the question. When you find out, Greg, if it's just $50 million, or even when they can make variable money down the road, how is that different or the same as their ownership stake in the actual company and the revenue, what the valuation of that, which might be separate from? On top of that, we have this pool that we split, but you still only own 5% of this other revenue part, which is 5.5%.
All righty, man.
All right, Greg. Be good.
You be good too. Appreciate the phone call, sir. The worst thing about it with Jose, we get lumped in with Oregon. I mean, Jose doesn't even care if USC gets $190 million cash infusion, 185, 155, 165 and a half. Jose just doesn't like the idea that we get lumped in the same amount with Oregon. That's why Jose is against the deal. That's why Jose is against the deal. Oh, gosh. Super chat. I might have to write USC $50 million check just to get them to sign. That check would bounce, no question about it. John Teal, USC would be a single region if they consumed the Big 12 teams after Texas and Oklahoma left. They said no to expanding, knowing full well that their bags were packed, doing pillow talk with the Big Ten. Thank you, John Till. Thank you for the $10 holler. I appreciate it. It's not the Cal Piers nitwit. It is UC Investment Fund. UC Investment Fund. It's not the Pension Retirement Services. They don't have to sign. USC and the team up north not taking money is the play. Short-term gain for part of your soul is a no-go. I don't think AI is correct. I do not think AI is correct. The first reporting of a potential deal by Front Office Sports had to do with Cal Peers. But it turned out to be UC Investment. UC Investment is not it's the University of California pension system called UC Investment. It is not the retirement services. Right here. University of California pension system called UC Investment, and they make independent decisions, independent from the University of California, Berkeley. So they have a $200 billion portfolio, if I'm correct on that. And again, how do I say this? I do not know. I do not know if I'm for this deal or not. Okay? In my heart of hearts, I do not know if I'm for this deal or not, because I do not know enough about the Big Ten enterprises. I wish I did, but we are barely getting any reporting on it. I am not going to be for this deal just because I'm a Golden Gopher fan. Okay? Do I have some Big Ten biasness? Yes, I do. Because I'm human. But I'm not a Big Ten bootlicker. I'm not going to be for this deal just because the Big Ten is thinking about doing it. I'm also not going to be against this deal just because I know that 99% of the college football reporters are going to be calling the Big Ten stupid because they're thinking about this deal. That has become ingrained into our college football landscape. No matter what the Big Ten does or does not do, they get trashed. And I'm okay with that as a Golden Gopher. But just because 99% of the people, I mean, look at Bud Elliott. Look at Bud Elliott threatening Michigan and USC with having their rights not tied to a bunch of schools who don't draw any ratings, might not be the threat they think it is. You know, Bud Elliott, guys like Bud Elliott, be kind, Greg, be very, very kind. All Bud Elliott does is trash the Big Ten, but then he gets up every day thinking about how does Florida State join the Big Ten. It's guys like that, again, people say, Greg, you can't go back in the past, you can't go back. There are reasons why the Big Ten is worth $24 billion from UC Investment. There's a reason why they were able to get Penn State, why they were able to get USC. There's a reason why the Big Ten was on the fronting edge of creating the Big Ten Network, and it was a massive success. The Big Ten decided to go against ESPN and put their content on different media networks. The Big Ten decided to have shorter term media packages, while other conferences, including the SEC and especially the ACC, had longer media packages. And the Big Ten was criticized for doing that, for everything they've done. They've been hammered by 90% of the college football. So people like Bud Elliott and people coming out today saying, once again, Big Ten, they're dumb, they're foolish, they're stupid. I don't know if I'm going to agree with the Big Ten. but I'm not going to disagree with the Big Ten because the same voices that always sing the same songs saying that the Big Ten looks to be making a where they're threatening the USC. Oh, come on. Come on. Anyways, painted pine cone. Painted pine. Okay. Guys, I appreciate you all coming on in. I do have to leave. I wish we could have a longer program, but I gotta do some traveling here this afternoon. I want to appreciate you all coming on in. Thank you guys for the donations to help us keep the lights on. I do appreciate it. John Till, Cope, I'm sorry, I did not see this. In Virginia, is a long-term lean of the Big Ten opens the door for Kansas. SEC Big Scoop plans in 24 maybe. Thank you, Cope, for the $5 holler. I appreciate it so very much. I apologize, Cope. That I did not see that earlier. Cope, John Till, Jacoba Cat, Ricky Tungate, Ryan Willie, thank you guys for your patience. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Aftermath show, week 11. And, of course, we'll continue to talk about this deal as always. Next time, please buckle up, brace for impact. God, family, Golden Gophers. See you tomorrow.